Hello from New York, I'm Chris Hayes. With me this morning, I have Democratic Congressman Steve Cohn of Tennessee, Lorella Praeli from the immigrant advocacy group Connecticut Students for a Dream, Rolling Stone magazine's Michael Hastings, and Esther Arma from New York's WBAI-FM. We also have Congressman Luis Gutierrez live in Chicago. Lorella, I wanted you to explain a little bit, we have to get too into the weeds of the way this is not an executive order, we should mention, first of all. That was being reported as an executive order. It's not an executive order. It is a cabinet-level directive that comes from Janet Napolitano, and it is an update. It is different than the memo of prosecutorial discretion, which was issued earlier this year, which was basically saying, hey, frontline immigration workers who are dealing with who we should go after and who we shouldn't, these are the metrics you should use to decide whether it's a smart use of the government's resources to go after person A, Lorella Praeli, for instance, and it basically said, look, if you have someone in your circumstance, a dreamer, don't deport them, and that was insufficient, right? There was a lot of problem at the ground level getting that to flow through the bureaucracy and be implemented. So how's announcement on Friday differ, and what difference is it making in the lives of folks right now?
This is a class basis of deferred action, basically, and that is just discretionary determination to defer the removal action of an individual as prosecutorial discretion.
Okay, what does that mean?
And that basically means that it's a stopgap measure. It's a temporary relief for a specific group of folks.
And the point is that the assumption is that anyone who meets the criteria, right, they can actually affirmatively apply. That's the key difference, right? It's not that they just have to sit and hope that there's no knock on the door, right? They can affirmatively apply and get immigration papers that allow them to stay in the country legally, even if it's not citizenship.
Right. This does not confer someone lawful status, but what it does is it protects someone, right? It protects this category of individuals from being deported, from living a life of fear, and from being able to live their lives fully. So this is huge for people, for the dreamers who have been fighting for this. The president is finally exercising his discretionary authority.
Michael.
Well, I mean, stepping back a little, as obviously there's lives at stake, and you know, obviously these policies are going to be very critical for how this plays out for a generation of undocumented workers. But as the kind of horse race political guy at the table at the moment,
what's it do for the polling,
yeah,
Michael?
what's it do for the polling? Exactly. One of the most amazing things this week watching the Obama campaign send out email after email calling this another Mitt Romney Etch-a-Sketch moment.
Right.
And what they mean by that is that we are actually seeing in real time, in excruciating detail, how Mitt Romney is flip-flopping on this critical issue.
Right.
This was a guy who, back during the primaries, as you showed earlier in the clip, who was savagely against any kind of immigration reform, who, when Rick Perry even suggested that you show some compassion, blew a gasket and then made it.
And more remember that the way Rick Perry, right, was going to be the great hope, right? And he showed up. And basically, Mitt Romney pulled out this machete called the DREAM Act, which had been passed in Texas, and he just stuck it in Rick Perry's gut over and over and totally dispatched him from the race using this issue by demagoguing on this issue, saying you're giving hundreds of thousands of dollars of discounted tuition to illegals. So let's just remember the context here.
Exactly. And now he's like, well, Marco Rubio says this, I'm going to hide behind Marco Rubio.
Right.
I mean, it's been amazing.
I think also another really important point for me was the political capital that the president is absolutely going to gain with Latinos in Florida, which is a huge swing state for the general election. Because when in his State of the Union address, he literally spoke about he's going to up the deportations, and we saw record numbers in 2011. He was now playing politics with the Republican Party about, if I do this for you, then maybe I can gain something from you. But what he had done was abandon the mandate of the people that had put him into office in the first place. And with this movement, he's literally switched back to the direction of the people. And I wanted to ask you about what that's going to mean, not just for the Latino vote, but for capturing his 2008 hope and change kind of platform that he ran.
If I could, Chris.
Please, Congressman.
I think it's important to understand that 2 million more Latinos voted in 2008 than 2004.
Exactly.
That 500,000 Latinos turn 18 every year, and they've been doing that for the last 3.5 years. Let me tell you what this is going to allow him to do. And I think this is important. This is a significant move on his part gesture on his part, initiative on his part, that a whole community of people, you know what they're going to see during September and October, the 2 months before the election? They're going to see up to 800,000 people who we know. I mean, these are our family members. Right. We go to church with them, school with them. They're an integral part of who we are. And the community is going to say, God, there are 11 million undocumented. We care for them all. What a great, courageous first step. So they're going to see them gaining relief. And the difference was, when we first got the prosecutorial discretion, we were so angry and frustrated because just like the Barack Obama administration, they'll do a little bit. So what they said is, if we catch you, dreamer, right, we'll let you go if you apply for prosecutorial discretion. This is an affirmative action, as you suggest, Chris. Now they don't have to wait to get caught. In 60 days, they'll be able to kind of turn themselves in. And as they turn themselves in, they'll be gaining a work permit, a driver's license, and be able to integrate. And let me just say, it's renewable for another 2 years. But what we have to understand, I think, also is there are 11 million. And just like the wonderful young graduate student that you have on your program this morning, who I want to congratulate and all for their tenacity, for their creativity, for the vigor in which they've engaged us all in this debate, I want to say, I want her mom. I want her dad, and the millions of moms and dads that are out there to one day also to be able to live free in this country, and we need to continue to work on that.
That brings me, Congressman and Lorella, and I'd like you to sort of close on this, which is it's the question of the prospects for actual comprehensive reform, right? Because the president did have the authority to do this based on findings of a bunch of legal professors and strong arguments that this is well within the bounds of the executive. But any kind of permanent change to the landscape is going to have to come through Congress. Very quickly, here's a quote from Ryan Lizza. The White House is so convinced of the centrality of Hispanics to the current election and its aftermath that Pluff told me he had been preparing for months for an onslaught of advertisements from a pro-Romney group attacking Obama from the left on immigration, arguing Obama's deportation policies had been too draconian. In that same article, right, worried about being attacked from the left, they imagine a scenario in which Barack Obama is reelected and Republicans, having once again gotten killed among Latino voters, finally understand that they have to do something about that, and that creates the conditions for comprehensive immigration reform in the second term. Congressman, do you see that as a likely scenario?
I do. I do see it because you know what? I really see this step and the election is really getting everybody ready. The election will be over. We'll have 4 years. The president will make this an initiative that is important to him and his legacy. And let me just say, I remember in September of 2010, it was Harry Reid fighting for his life out in Nevada, saying we're going to support the dream. And he got savagely attacked for 2 months. And you know what? He won that election. We won Colorado. We won California. And we kept the majority in the Senate because Democrats stood up for immigrants. The president is going to stand up for immigrants and Latinos. You have to understand, I think you have to understand one thing is that Latinos look at you first and say, are you being kind? And are you being good with immigrants? And if you are, I will listen to you on other issues. The president has taken a bold step, and he's going to be rewarded, I know, very handsomely.
People are very good in politics at figuring out who's on their side. Congressman Luis Gutierrez, Democrat from Illinois, and Lorella Praeli from the immigrant advocacy group Connecticut Students for a Dream. Thank you both for your time this morning. Really great. What changing demographics